Well, MSNBC host Andrea Mitchell and former director of National Economic Council Jason Furman slamming Republicans yesterday for signaling efforts to cut taxes if they retake control of Congress in November. Watch this.
One of the things they plan to do if they take over is to codify the massive tax cuts from Donald Trump. Talk about blowing a hole in the deficit, and what would that do to the economy at this point with inflation?
The idea that you're going to put at the center of your agenda, a dramatic tax cut means you're going to end up with more inflation, more budget deficits, higher interest rates, higher mortgage payments.
No comment in terms of how we got here with the $5 trillion plus of spending leading to 40-year highs in inflation. Joining the conversation all morning long this morning is Leo Kelly, Tiana Lowe, and Steve Moore. Steve, what's your reaction? Everything's more expensive today. Borrowing costs are more expensive with the Fed raising interest rates. Inflation's at 40-year highs. And now the Biden administration wants to raise taxes. Andrea Mitchell, obviously, okay with that.
Yeah, I take this a little personally because I helped write the Trump tax cut. And it was a phenomenal success. I mean, let's not forget that prior to COVID, we had the best American economy ever. And we were coming, and what's really frustrating to me is when I hear the Biden people say, as Pete Buttigieg said the other day, the economy was in a free fall when Biden came into office. That's a lie. In the second half of 2020, Maria, the economy grew by 20%. We were booming. And as our buddy Larry Kudlow likes to say, Biden came into an economy that was a high growth, low inflation economy, and he turned it into a low growth, high inflation economy. So yes, we should make those tax cuts permanent. By the way, one of the elements of that plan was to get rid of the state and local tax deduction, which was basically a tax giveaway to millionaires and billionaires in states like California and New York and Illinois. Why do the Democrats want to bring that back? I thought they wanted to make the tax code fairer. So we got to get back to the Trump policies. Same thing on energy, by the way. We would be producing 3 million more barrels a day today if we had the Trump policy. We wouldn't need to deplete one spoonful of oil out of the reserve. So I'm a little angry about this.
It's such misinformation. I mean, do you think MSNBC and the anchors recognize that when Joe Biden walked into the White House, inflation was at 1.4%?
Exactly. Right.
1.4%. Right. And you're talking
and the gas price was $2.50, and now it's $4.
And the tax cut plan that you helped write, you saw for the first time in a long time, Tiana, the lowest earners were actually seeing the highest increases in wages.
Yeah,
more than the highest earners.
Real growth because that inflation was so low. Look, and there were some underlying problems with the economy. I do think that we did have a leveraged loans problem. We did have a decade of QE that was unnecessary. We did keep rates ultra low. But even the modern monetary theory people understand that when growth is high, those other fundamentals can be survived, correct? But what happened under not just the COVID lockdowns, but then the perennial enforcement of those with the Biden regime, right? With how they have hampered down on domestic energy production, vaccine mandates, whatever. The thing I would just like to point out is that not only, we talk so much about the tax cuts, but also the reform element of it, right? Allowing, single earners to use that maximized standard deduction, saving their own time so they aren't slaving away in TurboTax. And then also another form of tax that I'm waiting for the Biden administration, which is claiming to want to tamp down on these costs of colleges, tax the endowments. The TCJA provided an avenue for you to do that. Why not blow it out?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the reform part of this, because that was really important. Remember, Donald Trump stood in front of boxes and boxes, and he said it was red tape. He said deregulation is a beautiful thing, and it really was, Leo.
It really was. There's a term that I haven't heard used in a long time that was used pretty frequently, and that was called the Goldilocks economy, and we're sure not hearing that anymore. And I think,
good point.
I think part of the problem is what we're hearing is, well, don't look here, but look here. Don't look here, don't look here. Gas is down. Now, it's up significantly, but it's down off the highest level. Again, we have to go back and we have to address the very specific issues, and that is we need more supply. We have to fix the supply chain. We have to bring down costs. And I think folks have to prepare for something. When we shut down the economy, it was the ultimate hubris that a government thought we could shut down a $20+ trillion economy and that we could just turn it back on again and everything would be fine. It's the greatest economic anomaly in the history of man. So get ready for the subsequent reactions to that anomaly.
Yeah.
Well, can I go back to that
you mentioned
California?
energy. Let me just show our audience how the New York Post nailed it. Gas backward. Yeah.
So that's just what I was going to say. You just did that fascinating segment on what's going on in California.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to California. They pay $2.50 more a gallon in California for gasoline than Americans do. They don't have enough energy to keep the lights on in California. This is the green energy future that Joe Biden wants for the whole country. And when you get the governor, Gavin Newsom, saying we're a model for the country on energy, I don't think that's a very good model to follow.
Yeah, well, you're right. Lauren did great reporting on that. We've got a quick break, and then when we come back.